Okay, let's talk about the Jazz, who are now 10-3. My goodness. Kudos to Will Hardy. Kudos to Lauri Markkanen for his improvement. The first thing I want to talk about is the offense. The spacing is always good, which sounds pretty basic, but that's not always a guarantee in the NBA. It does help them that they have Markkanen and Olynyk as their two front court guys, and both of them can operate on the perimeter a lot because, of course, both of them can shoot. Even if Olynyk, he's at like 3 threes attempted per game this season. He's not a gunslinger from out there, although his percentage from there right now is obscene. But the way that he can exist in the perimeter and be involved in handoff actions or dribble a couple times to one side of the floor to the other to initiate some offense instead of being a stationary big man. And of course, Markkanen's been doing a lot off the bounce. Those types of things matter. I'll get back to the movement and spacing and all that in a second, but Mike Conley plays a huge role in all this, man. You know, he has had a good amount of empty corner pick and rolls or handoff actions with Olynyk and Markkanen this season. And, you know, at this point in his career, Conley, he just makes the right decision kind of all the time. You know, like he'll make it look easy, like the way he'll hit one of these guys on a cut, or he'll have a bounce pass in the half-second window that he has to make a bounce pass, or he will begin the swing offense that eventually leads to a shot, even if he's not the one who's getting the assist, while he's also had a lot of assists this year. He's also still got like just enough burst off the dribble to where you still got to respect him. You know, the three didn't fall off. Like, it sounds basic, but it matters. On top of that, though, the movement with this offense is great. I would say when I'm watching their possessions, so often the initial play begins with something out of the corner where it's like a down screen for Lauri Markkanen, who has been able to turn that into more free throw attempts. Like, you can watch his first few possessions in their last game against Atlanta. They run a bunch of plays with him out of the corner. He gets like 2 or 3 trips to the line off of it. But they'll run these actions with everybody, not just Markkanen. It'll be Jordan Clarkson, Malik Beasley, Taylor Horton-Tucker, whoever you want it to be. And because the spacing is always good, it can turn into something at the basket or it can flow into something else. I mean, the amount of times that I've seen 2 or 3 swing passes from this team where the initial drive, you know, there might have been some good help defense after their first action, but then it'll be, you know, kick to the corner and then 2 swings and then it's Markkanen open for 3 or whatever. And I guess I do want to dive into Markkanen a little bit more. There are times where he's just like, you know what, man, I'm just taking it in the post. He's going to put his shoulder into somebody, and it's been effective. I mean, hell, there was one play in the Laker game where AD is guarding him at basically the top of the key, and Markkanen just takes him on a straight line drive dribble, kind of physical. He finishes over him, and it's like, man, that was not something you could have expected out of Markkanen a lot a few years ago. I mean, he's shooting the most free throw attempts he's ever had. He's also shooting the most shots he's ever had in the paint. So that's cool for him. Markkanen and Olynyk bring the ball up more than ever after they get a rebound, which allows these guys to get into offense faster. There's also just some subtle things that'll be happening. Like, I remember a play in the Mavericks game where Colin Sexton brings it up and he acts like he's going to hand it off to Mike Conley when Conley came from the corner. Fake handoff play. He gets Luka, you know, frozen for half a second, beats him to the rim for a layup. I mentioned Conley and Olynyk have had a bit of a two-man game. Clarkson, a similar thing, where sometimes it'll be Clarkson throws it to Olynyk, and then it's just run right for the handoff action. If the big isn't going to be up there in time, Clarkson's going to go to the pull-up 3. Like, there's something to say about a team that has good spacing and a motion offense where a lot of the time, no matter who ends up with the ball, that guy can either pass just enough to keep it going or he can shoot to where it's kind of tough to ignore dudes on this team. With all that said, I mean, of course, you're still going to get your Jordan Clarkson contested threes. You're still going to get your Malik Beasley, the second I get daylight, I'm hoisting it moments. You're going to get Markkanen, who's going to make some tough fadeaways from mid-range or whatever. And also, shout out to my guy Jared Vanderbilt, who is on pace to have by far the most assists of his career this season. And a lot of the time, it'll be something where, I don't know if it's a specific play, but he'll just have it and he'll immediately just be like, let me just throw it to, I don't know, Mike Conley, set a screen. Let's just see what happens, you know? Little things that just keep the offense flowing. As far as the defense, so from what I've seen, a lot of time it's Olynyk and Markkanen and drop. And as far as how they're guarding off-ball actions, I don't want to say they're switching everything because I've definitely seen like some stagger screens where they've asked, let's say, Colin Sexton to fight around the screens as opposed to switching all that. But my impression of their defense, and I do want to talk about Walker Kessler especially here, but it's that they're trying to keep their defense out of rotation as much as they can. Now, it is Markkanen and Olynyk protecting the basket within that, not all the time. I mean, when the Clippers were going small in their recent game, you saw more possessions of them switching those two onto guys. But yeah, we'll just see what the ceiling is on that sort of thing. Now, one stat that I think is a little telling is that they are allowing the least amount of corner threes made in the league so far, and they are allowing the 5th least amount of corner threes attempted per game, regardless of whether it went in or not. So, yeah, I think that's a byproduct of their defense not being in crazy rotations all the time. But again, we'll see if the inside defense especially holds up for him. I do want to talk about Walker Kessler, though, because I think his inside defense is pretty promising. He had a great game against the Hawks just last night, and a lot of the time he's also in drop, and it makes sense because he was a great rim protector in college. Of course, the blocks are the most noticeable thing, like when he follows a Kongwu from one side of the paint to the other and then blocks a runner on him like last night. But there's also been the less noticeable ones per se, where it's just him forcing a miss. Like one I remember in the Clippers game where Powell was coming around a screen from Zubats, and I think Kessler might have even hit the ball a little bit as Powell was going up with it beforehand, and he managed to not foul him and still contest the shot really well, got a miss out of him. Like, that's what you got to do, and he's looked pretty okay so far. So yeah, man, they're good. Now, I guess the other conversation with this team is, will it hold up, and will Danny Ainge freak out and be like, oh crap, wait, we're good. Should I trade more stuff so we can really go for Wembanyama? I can't tell the future, but we can at least enjoy it in the moment, right?